to Future Africa. You're watching OBN Horn of Africa. I am Addis Asafa. Today, I am going to discuss about the very paradoxically seen situation in Ethiopia, which is the ongoing rebels act. The U.S., instead of favoring the majority of the people of Ethiopia, it stood beside the TPLF, the very evil-doing entity in Ethiopian politics. Anna Garrison, an independent journalist, appeared on RT TV in Russia and vowed about the ongoing situation in Ethiopia. She spoke out all the truths on the ground. Let's look to the video.
Independent journalist Ann Garrison has done some great work on the answer to that question, and I have her on the show today. Hi, Ann. Thanks so much for joining me.
Hi. Long live Ethiopia, U.S. out of Africa.
Yes, well...
I picked this up at a demonstration.
Yeah.
Good. I picked this up at a diaspora demonstration about this.
Yeah, well, yeah. So you're jumping to the meat of the matter, which is that we want to talk about Ethiopia because the U.S., now the U.S. empire is involved in an endless array of wars and attacks on in one form or another on various places around the globe, and so everyone's wondering where are they aiming their guns next at the Pentagon. And you've done some really interesting reporting on how the U.S. is aiming more and more at Ethiopia, but almost no one really is talking about it. So I want to get into that, but if you can tell us about the civil war that's been going on in Ethiopia.
During the first week of November, the Tigray People's Liberation Front, a group of thugs that the U.S. backed for 27 years when they were in power. They're a 6% minority. Tigrayans are a 6% minority. And keep in mind, we're not talking about the Tigrayan people, we're talking about the TPLF. This group that was in power for 27 years with U.S. support, and which allowed, therefore, the U.S. to use it as its army in Africa, they had retreated to their province after they lost power because of a popular uprising in 2018, or a series of them. And last November, they attacked a federal army base in their province. This is very important to understand because in no time, the Western press stopped acknowledging that the TPLF attacked a federal army base. I mean, right. Is there any nation on earth that would not react to an attack on a federal army base?
Right.
So Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed and the Ethiopian Defense Force went into Tigray. But the Western press all started saying that Abiy Ahmed had started the war. I mean, this became so relentless that at one point I was having a little trouble with reality. I had to go back and look at the evidence. And yesterday I even asked Obang Metho, whom I was talking to from Gambela, Ethiopia, can you confirm that the TPLF attacked this federal army base and thereby started the war, the civil war?
Okay, dear viewers, for media commentary, I joined by Mitre Manik, founder of Organic African Paradigm and staunch Pan-Africanist, and he is a very reputable young Pan-Africanist. And he's here to give us a commentary on the played video, which is discussed by Anna Garrison, an independent journalist. Anna Garrison tried to discuss the reality on the ground. And what is your reflection on it?
First of all, let me greet all the audience. The one who comes in peace is always welcome. The one who comes to teach is always welcome. The one who comes to learn is especially always welcome. Positive energy and creation energy to all the viewers out there. Yes, thank you, Future Africa, for inviting me again. And yes, Anna Garrison, listening to what she said, she's not alone. I've heard other independent journalists said that, but also November 4th of last year, when the attack did occur on the military and base, It was confirmed in every Western media outlet. So she is 100% correct about that. The Western media started the initial reporting very accurately without any bias, but then after a period when they initiated the you started hearing like bodies, humanitarian aid words started coming into play, the tone shifted. So I'm going to pause right there so we can go more into this video here and just give it more. But she is 100% correct. The Western media, the New York Times, the Guardian, Washington Post, every one of them confirmed that there was an assault on a federal government base by a non-governmental entity. So that per any law on planet Earth, any governmental entity on Earth, that is called a terroristic attack. So let's be clear with that.
Okay, Anna Garrison tried to discuss the reality on the ground, as I have said a while ago. Is there any nation who prefer to be silent while its military base got attacked? Why the United States government, which is headed by Biden's administration, prefer to favor TPLF and confront the incumbent leadership, which is headed by Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed?
Yeah, so what the reporter said, everything the reporter said is we have to, listening to her, she's on the ground and she's giving a non-biased perspective. So she's very much accurate. There are many people who are on the ground, like her, independent journalists, who are saying the same thing. So when it comes to what we're hearing from the bigger medias, the narrative is shifted, but that's expected. Let's look at Ethiopia, for example, right? Ethiopia, what we know about Ethiopia is previously the TPLF was in control and they were very much unified in alliance with the US government. The US used them for several missions into Somalia, occupation and destabilization. But after that, you see Prime Minister Abiy come in and he really is a visionary. One of the most visionary leaders of the decades. Like we have Kagame, we have the Prime Minister Abiy, coming in and with a vision for a country. Like you have the Grand Renaissance, the Ethiopian dam that's being built, which is going to supply electricity. You have peace with Eritrea. You have sustainable economic growth being put into the country. So Ethiopians are being developed, but it's not the agenda of the West. The West really want Ethiopia as a pawn, as a servant to their agenda. They want to be able to use Ethiopia whenever they feel like, however they feel. So of course, when you have a leader comes with a vision trying to unify the people, they're not going to like that. So this is what you see, the new incoming president. It might be the old or the new president of the United States or the president after Biden. It will always be the same. They will always want to see an African nation underdeveloped and serving as their foot soldiers to go into other regions and destabilize rather than making peace. So that's what I can say about that.
Okay, from the discussion, we noticed that the U.S. government is favoring TPLF, and by disgrading and denouncing incumbent government, which is headed by Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed. And what is the interest of the U.S. in the Horn and in Ethiopia in particular?
Well, the Horn of Africa is a vital port. If you look at Ethiopia's history, look at when the Italians came and the British came, what were they fighting for? They were fighting for the port. They were fighting for control of that region because that region is a strategic outpost, right? You have Djibouti, where you have a large AFRICOM present there. But they haven't been able to establish in Eritrea, because Eritrea is a very independent nation, one of the most independent African nation that is very, very, I think everybody's has to go into military service. Ethiopia for many years was toiling under the US, and suddenly a leader comes with a vision. But look at this. Ethiopia's projects are not just for Ethiopia. The 6,000 megawatts of electricity that's going to be provided for everybody in the country. But not just that, Ethiopia is going to be able to market electricity to all the entire Horn of Africa. Do you know the economic growth that can happen from this kind of visionary leadership? And this is going to be against the West. I mean, you're going to see Africa leaning away from the West and depending more on African leaders. And imagine how many leaders in Africa are going to start looking up to Ethiopia as a source of economic growth. This is something that the Western imperialistic agenda does not tolerate. So that's the best thing I can say about that.
Okay, what is expected from other Africa leaders to promote what is being undergone by the Prime Minister of Ethiopia?
First of all, let's take into account a military base was attacked, right? That is, you broke the law right there. That's no country on earth, it might be China, it might be Liberia, it might be whatever. It might be Germany, no country will allow a military base to be attacked. Even recently in US, the capital of the US was stormed by many people, and many of those people were arrested and brought to justice. So the US has expectations of law and order in its own land, but when it comes to African sovereignty over law and order, this is something that they're opposed to. So what can be expected of African leaders? African leaders, you need to be standing in solidarity with the government of this country, but not just that. Let's talk about the human rights, right? You have the principles of human rights. This is one of the weaknesses. This is one of the key fundamental destabilizing agents that they use against Africans. This human rights watch, or whatever you call them, humanity, impartiality, neutrality, independence, right? But the Human Rights Watch, they're called the soft arm of imperialism, the soft arm. So majority of the claim by Western media is that the government is preventing humanitarian aid from reaching the region. That's where the Human Rights Watch are going to the media. They're going straight to the Western media, and they're telling the Western media, oh, the government is preventing humanitarian aid. When you use the word humanitarian aid and preventing and genocide and murder and bodies floating in the rivers, when you use those kind of words, what you're doing is you're creating a narrative for the Western audience so that they can sanction their government's intervention into those countries where their government can begin either sanctions or military action. So now this is going to follow by you got sanctions on the import and export, targeting sanctions, financial sanctions, whatever you mean. It could be the EU, it could be the United Nations, it could be the United States Office of Foreign Asset Control Agency. They can all come together against Ethiopia. So African leaders, this is where you have to stand in solidarity with an African leader with vision. When a leader comes with vision, we as a people, the young people on the continent, you have to stand in solidarity with your leader. You have to encourage. This is not a matter of Ethiopia. You can be in Uganda, you can be in Tanzania, you can be in Burundi, wherever you find yourself. You need to stand in solidarity with a leader that has vision. We have to do that. We have to support this leader. Not just that, but African media, your job is to also share the stories. Make sure that we have evidence, because if this stuff goes to the International Criminal Court, right, we need evidence for Ethiopia, for the Ethiopian government, we need evidence, because what they're trying to do is they're trying to indict the Ethiopian government on war crimes.
Okay, let me pause you here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, not only Anna Garrison, the very prominent political economic analyst Lawrence Freeman appeared on OBN Horn of Africa and in his private social media vowed about the reality on the ground again, and he urged the U.S. government to see the policies and rethink the ongoing false propaganda that is reiterated by TPLF and favor the incumbent government. I would like to play the video, and I'll get back to you.
Okay.
And the act of attack by the Tigrayan People's Liberation Front on the Ethiopian National Defense Forces on November 4th of last year was the last straw. And the government of Prime Minister Abiy was forced to militarily intervene on behalf of the sovereignty of the nation state of Ethiopia. And the conflict has gone on for several months and is not yet resolved. But the only way that the situation can be resolved is by the Tigrayan people working with the government in Addis Ababa for the general benefit of all of the people of Ethiopia. We cannot have a country ruled by ethnic groups threatening separatism, regional ethnicity. And I think that the Prime Minister is fighting for that principle.
I guess you've heard the video which is discussed by Lawrence Freeman, who knows African politics, the in and out of it, and he knows the African politics and the Ethiopian politics as his hand's palm. And you've heard what he has said. And what is your assertion on it?
I agree with him. This is a national issue, and this is an internal conflict or internal disagreement, not a conflict, but an internal disagreement between people. Africans need to resolve our internal disagreement, and I think that the TPLF need to, not destabilize the country, for selfish, reasons. This is I agree with the journalist or the minister there. I agree with them very much so that it needs to change. Like we need to go away from that separatist consciousness that we've had in the past. The ethnic problems have to change. Now we're on a nationalistic front. We need to maintain a nationalistic ideology, culture, philosophy in Africa. So I agree with him.
Okay, dear viewers, once again, thank you for joining Future Africa's program. I would like to wrap up my discussion here due to the interest of time. Thank you very much for watching.